Okay, so now that we have spent some time to relax our bodies and calm our minds, we're going to move into part two of today's video, which is a guided therapeutic exercise designed to help us engage in some self reflection, maybe a little bit of goal setting, and also kind of define what some self care might look like for us today. You don't need anything for this exercise, but what I would suggest and encourage you to do is to get something to write with and something to write on. So you can use a pen, pencil, crayons, markers, you can paint, I don't care. Or you can even just draw along with your finger on the carpet, in the air, whatever. If you're kind of able to do that more abstract thinking and that's more fun for you, that's perfectly fine. What I have right now is a notebook and my favorite pink pen. But I'll give you a moment just to grab your materials. Writing tablets work fine, drawing tablets, whatever you want. But take your moment, staying relaxed, staying calm, staying centered in our mind and bodies. And let's just go ahead and get started in this little therapeutic exercise. I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. Share and share. Okay, so we are going to start with self-reflecting. So now that we've kind of taken our time to center our bodies and our minds, we can now move into some deeper self-reflection. And today we're going to focus a little bit on honoring what is within our control. So you can close your eyes for a moment and get kind of centered and relaxed if you want to, or you can kind of dive right in. Sometimes when I am trying to turn inward and self-reflect, I even like to imagine sitting beside myself, kind of talking to myself the way I would talk to a friend or a loved one, a family member, a client even. So often we move through our days and we're focused on everyone else's needs and expectations and reactions. But for right now, for these next few minutes, I really want us to turn our attention inward and to focus on ourselves. So take a moment, take a deep breath, come home to yourself for a moment. And I'd like you to pause and reflect on the question, how am I really doing today? And this question is distinctly different from how I think I should be doing. We're asking ourselves, how am I really? And you can answer this question internally, just thinking through it in your mind. You can answer it out loud, or you can even write it down on paper. I want you to pause and think, how am I really doing today? There's no right or wrong answer. There's no rush. It's just a question. And whatever comes up is okay. I want you to acknowledge it without judgment. Maybe you're perfectly content. Maybe you're feeling relaxed. Maybe you're tired or overwhelmed. Maybe you're numb or hopeful. Maybe you're uncertain. Whatever comes to mind, see if you can meet it with curiosity instead of judgment. So for me, my feeling today, I am feeling, I'm feeling a little bit anxious. We have a big snowstorm coming up. Feeling a little bit anxious about that, making sure I have everything I need. But I'm also feeling a little bit hopeful because that means that I will probably have a day this weekend that is really relaxing and just spent at home, warm and cozy and comfortable. And let's ask ourselves another question. If my feelings had a voice right now, what would they want me to know? That can be a tough one. If my feelings had a voice, what would they want me to know? So first we have to come back to that first answer of what am I feeling? How am I doing? So for me right now, if I'm coming back to that emotion that I named, the first one I mentioned was anxiety. I'm feeling a little bit anxious. And if that anxiety had a voice, what would it want me to know? And I think today that anxiety would want me to know that it's okay. It's okay to feel a little bit anxious, and I can recognize that I've done all of the things I can to prepare. I have gotten the heavyweight blanket for my pony out, so my pony will be taken care of and warm. I've made sure that my kids have all of their snow gear so they are ready. I just did my grocery shopping. We just found the snow shovels. I found the sleds. I have some cozy recipes pulled up, so this anxiety is okay and I'm well prepared to manage it. What we're asking ourselves to do right now is just practice awareness. And we can remember that awareness itself is a form of self-care. We're not asking ourselves to fix anything or address anything. We're just asking ourselves to be aware. Let's move forward now into a focus on self-care. Self-care is one of those buzzwords where it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And it might be easy to say, oh, well, go practice self-care, but what does that mean? What is self-care? What does that mean to you? Self-care is not just another thing to do perfectly or to do well or to do right. Self-care is simply an attitude towards ourselves. It's reflecting on what do I need and how do I provide that. Self-care doesn't have to be bright and flashy, big or expensive. It doesn't have to be time-consuming. Self-care can be small. Self-care can be quiet. Self-care can be as simple as listening to what you need instead of just pushing past your emotions. So as we take a deep breath in, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and pause and ask yourself, what does my nervous system need right now? In this moment, what does my nervous system need right now? Maybe you need calm and relaxation through deep breathing, meditation, music. Maybe you need movement, a walk, exercise, jumping jacks, dancing in the kitchen. Maybe you need reassurance. It's okay. The way I'm feeling is okay. Maybe it's space or time for yourself. Can you go take a moment to just be on your own, be quiet, give yourself space to think, regroup, recover? And as we contemplate on what self-care means to us, let's ask ourselves a couple of questions. What would help me feel even 5% more supported right now? Might not fix everything, might not solve my problems, but what would help me feel even the slightest bit better? What have I been needing and maybe ignoring? Do I need more rest? Do I need connection? Do I need fun and leisure? Do I need relaxation? Do I need to nourish my body or stay hydrated? Do I need to treat myself? If you do have a notebook, I'd like you to maybe just jot down a few things. Take a moment. What would help you feel the slightest bit better? And what have you been needing? If If you don't have anything to write with or draw with, you can write it out in the air, you can write it in your mind's eye, you can draw it on the carpet with your finger. But go ahead and spend a moment answering these questions to yourself. You can take all the time you need to answer these questions. There is no rush. If I were to answer these questions myself right now, what would help me feel even 5% better or 5% more supported? I would say water. Getting a drink of water would be helpful. I've had several cups of coffee today, which is what I love, but I know that I could use some water. I feel a slight headache coming on and a little bit dehydrated, so I do know that I need to address that need. I also know that I could use a little bit of movement. I didn't get as much movement and exercise in my body that I really wanted to yesterday. And I'd like to take a moment and get some movement today, especially if it is going to be a quiet or snowed in weekend. I'd like to go on a walk, maybe do some yoga, maybe just use my treadmill, but get some motion in my body. I would also like to clear space in my bedroom. I have laundry that's been folded but is waiting to be put away. And when I walk into my bedroom right now, that's just a task that keeps staring at me. And I know that once that's done, I'm going to feel relaxed and calm and ready to rest at the end of the day if I go ahead and put my laundry away. So that's something I could do. And what's something I've been needing but ignoring? When I think about it right now, I've been needing to write as just an outlet and a form of expression rather than writing to fulfill a task or meet a deadline. I would like to just spend time writing, whether that's journaling or writing a creative piece, but something just for fun. I like to do that for myself. Remember that you are allowed to need what you need. And it doesn't matter if other people feel the same way. It doesn't matter if it seems silly. You are allowed to need what you need. Perhaps the most important thing when it comes to self-care is remembering that we can only control what we can control. So I like to shift our mindset for a moment towards grounding ourselves and reminding ourselves that our focus belongs on the things that are within our control rather than the things that are outside of it. When life feels overwhelming, it's very common for our minds to fixate on the things that we can't change, the things that are weighing heavily on us, things like other people, the past, the future, the unknown, other people's reactions, emotions, responses, the environment around us sometimes. And I'd like us to just narrow that lens for a moment. And I would like you to ask yourself, what is mine to carry? And what is something I need to let go? And when we ask ourselves what is mine to carry, what we're asking is, what can I take with me that I have influence over? And when we ask ourselves, what can I let go of? What we're asking is to place aside the things that we can't control, the things that we can't alter or change. So when we think about the things that are within our control, some simple things are our breath, our boundaries, our effort, our values, the way we speak to ourselves, the way we speak to other people, our immediate environment, maybe the room we're in, the volume of the music we're listening to, our consumption of media, the things we're choosing to consume, the food we're eating. Let us focus on the things that are within our control. And in a moment, we're going to imagine placing things in two different circles, the circle that we can control and the circle that we can't. But right now, I want you to pause for a moment and either write or simply reflect on 3 things that are within your control today. And I'll do it with you. And again, take all the time you need to answer these questions. For me, 3 things that I can control today are what time I go to bed. It's been a long week. What time I go to bed matters. It's been a busy past few days for me, so I can go to bed at 9:30, I can go to bed at 10:30, I can go to bed at 12:30, 1:30. That's up to me what time I go to bed. I can control what I make for dinner. I did my grocery shopping yesterday. I have some recipes pulled up, so I have options. And what I decide to make tonight is within my control. I can also control the media that I consume for the rest of the day. There's a lot going on in current events. There's a lot going on in the world around me, and I want to have influence and control over it as much as I can, but there's a lot that's out of my control. And it's important to stay informed, but it's also important to know my limits. So I've consumed my news for the day. Do I need to keep consuming it, or can I pause and go, you know what, that's enough? And then the next question we're going to ask ourselves is, what can I practice letting go of, even temporarily? And this can be a hard one, so we're just going to do one. Just what is one thing I can practice letting go of, even temporarily? And take your time coming up with an answer to this. And sometimes it's helpful to reflect on what is causing me stress, right? What is weighing on me? And is there something I can let go of, even if it's just temporary? So for me, the answer to this question today might just be the opinions of others. I can let go of the opinions of others. I don't have to focus on them. I don't have to acknowledge them. I don't have to respond to them. Right now, I can let go of the opinions of others. Imagine, even in your mind's eye right now, that there are 2 circles. There's this soft, green, calming circle. And these are the things in your life that you have control and influence over. And then imagine that there's this gray circle. And these are the heavier things, the things in your life that are out of your control. And if you want to, you can draw these on paper, or you can just imagine them in your mind's eye. And I would like you to pause for a moment and just acknowledge the things that are weighing on you, the things that you're thinking about, the thoughts that are going around in your head. And I would like you to gently start categorizing them into this green circle, things you can control, influence, change, or this gray circle, the things that are outside of your control. Again, that green circle might be things like who you spend your time with, how you spend your leisure time, the pace of your breath, the food choices you're making, the clothes you're wearing, the music you're listening to, the media you're consuming, whether or not you choose to go to a therapy appointment, whether or not you choose to call a friend or a family member, what time you go to bed, how you do your hair, all of these things that are within your control, how you respond to someone or something. And those things outside of your control are things like other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, other people's actions, current events, the weather. Take a moment and just cycle through those thoughts that are in your brain and categorize them. What is within my control? And what is not? And this is an exercise that you can come back to anytime you're feeling overwhelmed. It's important to ask yourself, the thing that I am focusing on, is it within my control or not? And if it is, what is the next right step to address it? And if it's not, how can I practice letting go? And where can I put my attention instead? And it's important to remember that letting go does not mean that we don't care. It doesn't mean we're giving up. It just means instead that we're choosing where we decide to put our energy. Now we're going to wind down this session by setting some gentle intentions. So as we begin to bring this exercise to a close, let's take another deep breath in. And deep breath out. And ask yourself, how do I feel now compared to how I felt when I started about an hour ago? Do I feel more relaxed? Do I feel more focused or centered or grounded? Even small shifts matter. We're not asking for great change. We're not asking for perfection. We're just asking for progress. And then I'd like you to end by setting a gentle intention. And it doesn't have to be a goal. It's not a demand or an obligation. It's just direction. Where would I like to direct myself today? It can be something as simple as, today I will check in with myself. Today I will move at a kinder pace. Or today I will focus on what I can control. And then as we close this out, let's go ahead and return our focus to 3 simple questions to end our session today. And I wrote these down for myself, and I wrote down, today I feel, tomorrow I will, and this weekend I want. And I wrote these 3 questions because it's a simple exercise in being grounded in the present, but also aware of what's within our control and how we can address it. So anytime you need to return to yourself and practice some self-care and give yourself some guidance, I like these 3 questions. So I would answer these questions. Today I feel a little bit anxious. We talked about that at the beginning, a little bit anxious about the weekend. So when I acknowledge that feeling, my next question is, well, tomorrow I will. What will I do to address that anxiety? Tomorrow I will focus on what I can control. And then this weekend I want. To address those feelings of anxiety this weekend, I want to lean into relaxation. I want to take time for me and do something just because it brings me comfort, just because it brings me joy. There's no goal attached, no outcome, just pleasure. So that might mean reading a book and having a hot cup of tea. It might mean watching a movie, laying on the couch, petting my dog. But this weekend, I want to focus on relaxation. So as we close out, let's take our hands to our heart. And if you want to, you can close your eyes. And I want you to take one more deep breath in, feeling your chest expand. Slow breath out. And I want you to thank yourself for showing up. Thank yourself for pausing and reflecting. Thank yourself for practicing self-care. And remember that you can return to these practices anytime you need a moment to reconnect with yourself. And when you're ready, taking another deep breath in, keeping in mind that intention you set for yourself, and then moving forth with your day with love, gratitude, and self-care. This has been Mindful Minutes with Jillian, and I'm so glad you could join me today.